Hello, my name is Cynthia and welcome to my Flosstube channel. If you love beautiful needlework, you like to talk about it, see examples of it, and most importantly, if you hope to create your own beautiful projects, you're in the right place. I'm happy to be here with you today. I have so many finishes to share, so many things I've been creating and crafting, and plans ahead for December. I wanted to share some crafts I've made, some that are on my head here with a cat that's trying to sneak in and grab them, and some that I have finished with a little bit of a ornament tutorial that I will insert. But let's go ahead and get started. I have so much to show you. I wanted to start with a previous finish. I have probably quite a few more subscribers than last year when I showed this. So if you missed it, this was Christmas rules from 2019 that I made. I got it out of the closet where I store it. And this was one of my first stitches. So it has a lot of mistakes that kind of stand out to me now, but from a distance it's fine, and it's just part of our process. I'll show you another piece I made early on that I've learned from. The favorite part for me on this, and it's a little crooked at the bottom, you can see my line, is this extra rule from inspiration of the lettering and just some things I made up myself. It says, remember to keep, or Jesus is the reason. So that was, to me, a left off part of this list when we think about the most important parts of Christmas, but I think the design is so cute. My kids really like it, and I darkened up the colors. I know I used Manor Red and probably one of the darker DMCs as well. Some of the called for Weeks Dye Works, but mostly DMC, and I just kind of made it match this fabric. It's from French General. I don't see it on 123 Stitch anymore, but I wanted it to coordinate with my Christmas colors, which are more of the pine green and the burgundy instead of like a bright red. So I am working on Halloween rules right now. Gonna start that in earnest in January, but I think these designs are so fun. So there's Christmas Rules by Lizzie Kate. The other thing I wanted to show you doesn't quite fit in with the season, but I talked about last time. I'll give you more updates at the end and a kind of a quick life update. I intended to be here 2 weeks ago to share my last of the fall stitching. This has already been put away, but this was my BooBaaBie by With Thy Needle and Thread. I think it was almost finished the last time I showed you, but it is complete in a frame that cuts off the top, and I am aware of it. I am probably going to find another frame, but for now it's on my wall and I can still enjoy it. I love all the colors. I talked about it more in the last 2 videos if you want to see those, but this matches the Patriotic Poppies frame. My mom gave me both of these, and this silly, what do you call that? Detail on the frame is what got me in trouble, because I was like, oh, it's going to be perfect, until I popped it in and realized, because it fits the 8x10 sticky board, I put this on perfectly, but no, it's covered. Still though, I think it's really pretty, and it doesn't bother me terribly. It almost looks like it was just kind of a disappearing alphabet. It's kind of a ghost alphabet anyway. So love these. Sheep by Brenda Gervais. It's an older design, but you can still find it. And I did make those wolf flowers since we visited last from the felt from Hobby Lobby. So love that design, and it did get to go up in my craft room where it's going to stay. I don't want to put away my seasonal pieces. I'm just going to put them up in my craft room, so that's where they'll live. Let me show you these smaller ones. I'm not sure which order to go to. I'll just grab what I can. The Christmas Past ornaments I showed you last time, I believe. And I showed you as I finished them back in January, February, March, and April. I did one a month. intended to do more. There are 9 in the design, and I forgot to bring the pattern out. I'll insert a picture of the original Christmas Past, maybe side by side, so you can see how much I changed it. I'm kind of prone to doing that. The original was on black with the traditional DMC kind of Prairie Schooler colors, which are more red than I prefer. So I had changed them to Manor Red, and then which is my favorite Christmas red, and then put them on this 32 count Belfast. I think it's called Natural Linen from Hobby Lobby. It's very gray. In fact, some people said, oh, I like it on gray, and I was like, oh, I guess it is kind of grayish. It's really, you know, supposed to be more of just like an oatmeal-y natural, but it does read pretty gray. And I had these ornaments from Hobby Lobby. I had an Instagram question, where did you find those metal discs? I hope they still have them. I shared them 3 weeks ago, so, or however long it's been, maybe a month ago. So I apologize if they're already gone, but you might can find some in your Hobby Lobby. And it worked out so well because I really believed I would have to do some trim in there. But the way this ornament had like a black edge, I really, first of all, I couldn't fit it when I finished it. And then secondly, I didn't think it needed it. It really pulls out the dark colors in the designs, and I just love the way it turned out. I put a bow at the top, and I think I showed that in the video, but I will go ahead and insert that after I show you this last one here. This was my sister-in-law's abandoned project. It was supposed to be like 6 or 7 Santas, and she did this one and just kind of gave up. And I had to cut it a little wonky on the side because the other one starts there at the bottom, and he was started like maybe 50 stitches, and I just cut him off. So he got a little bit narrow there, but I think he looks so good. And this one does have the message on the back. I wish these did too. It doesn't really matter though, you can't see them anyway. But this one is going to be a Christmas gift for Gina. So glad to have that done as well. It's set in my box for 2 years. And so, and a lot of these, you know, I've had these done for 8 months. People might say, oh, you got so much done. And you know, it looks that way because I've just kind of had them ready to be finished. So this took maybe an hour and a half, but I do think of it as a way to honor your stitching, honor the time you spent so that you can enjoy them. It really wasn't very hard, but I'll insert the video of how I finished those here, just a few clips. Another finish that I did was something I shared last time as well. The Chestnut Junction has $1.99 embroidery projects on their website, and they are not on the Etsy shop. I had tried to link these earlier and realized they don't have all of their designs, or she doesn't have all her designs on Etsy. You go to chestnutjunction.com and see all the different $1.99 embroidery pieces. This one stood out to me because it has kind of a primitive look to it, and he is really quirky there with his beard. I did a search on YouTube. I'm teaching myself these embroidery stitches. I've never done them before. I did a little bit of embroidery with my grandmother when I was little, but I didn't know what I was doing, and I really still don't, but it's fun. It's a fun experiment. This stitch is called a ring stitch on his beard. It's basically like a loose French knot that I ended up tacking on either side, sort of like a lazy daisy. So I would do the loose French knot and then tack the left and right side. Otherwise, and it already is on some of these, it sort of starts to unravel. I did do those French knots all around. There are 32 of them. And a lot of times I tacked that down as well. I just really stink at French knots, but it looks good enough. So I'm happy with it. And that hat, I don't know if you can see that stitch. It was called a brick stitch. I didn't want to do a satin stitch because I did a satin stitch on his hat. You can see that there. But satin stitches, especially if they're really long, they can shift around so that the fabric shows through where you don't want it, and they can also pull out. They're kind of more delicate, so you have to really watch them. And I know this is going to be put in storage, and I wanted it to be a little bit more sturdy. So this one is just like a long satin stitch that's stacked like bricks, you know, like every other. And I just, like I said, I did a search on fill in embroidery stitches. And then the beard was how to make curls with embroidery stitches. This lady was so good at it. She made this red-headed, I'll try to attach the video I watched if I can find it, but this red-headed curly afro hair. It was really cool, and mine doesn't look as good as that, but I think it added the texture I wanted. It took me a long time. That was one thing that was kind of frustrating about it, but I just did it while my son was in school, and it worked out. Hang on just a second. Okay, sorry, I got interrupted. I'm not sure. I think I was saying I just did that beard while I was watching them do school. So it worked out pretty well, or while I was watching TV. This piece of tea towel, if you recall, I made a Halloween pillow out of the other half of it, was a little too small for my backdrop. I usually have a Priscilla Blaine and Hands-On Design chalkboard on here, but I probably need another layer of board with some red fabric maybe. I think I will probably have to do that because the washers show, but I have it so high up on the wall you really can't see it unless you're looking down on it like we are here. So it may not happen this year. But the other thing that I really like about this project was I experimented with taping off these stripes. I wanted it to look like I had a piece of toweling that I embroidered on in the fall that had those kind of French flower sack stripes, and I thought, well, that would be really fun if I could center it correctly to have those on there. And you know, it wasn't going to work on top and bottom, so I thought, well, what if I just taped it off with masking tape and just really carefully dry brushed it with red craft paint, and that way I can get the red that I like, the perfect dark red, and I can put the spacing just right. So I ended up using masking tape on one, and then I had to use washi tape because I got so close to that stitching. I didn't have some thin masking tape that would maybe not pull up those French knots. As much trouble as they were, I was not going to put a piece of tape on them. So I used the washi. And what excited me about this is now I'm going to do this for some curtains, because if you look at like Pottery Barn or some of those places, they can charge a lot of money for that kind of flower sack stripe, and it's really not hard at all to do it yourself. Be really careful with your paint. Make sure if you want to try it, and I should have already inserted a picture. I will again if I haven't, but make sure your paint is very dry. If you have like a wet paintbrush and then you put it in your paint and then you put it on the fabric, it will just bleed. So I've done that before. So I was very careful, especially because this was already stitched. You might want to do it first and then stitch. I'm not sure, because if you mess it up, you would be like, oh no. But it wasn't bad. I just know that if you have any water on your brush, or if you have water mixed in with your paint, it will not work out. But I am going to make some curtains in this same way for my kitchen, kind of a cafe curtain. So there's that. Oh, and I did the Priscilla finish with the detachable bow. This may have gotten some extra glue. I had to glue it once because it was falling, but I'll take it off in a little bit. Other finish I wanted to show you isn't completely finished, but it's going to be an ornament set probably next year. It was a lot of work to get the farmhouse Christmas ornaments fixed, so I didn't really want to try to pressure myself to get these done, but I'm working in the same palette as Kathy Haberman did with her hands-on design. I think it's just called the 12 Days of Christmas Ornaments, and I love the way this is turning out. I'm doing this Sal with Lorrie of Mischievous Stitches and Kim Lehman of Barbara's Daughter, and I'd already wanted to do it, so it was just kind of the nudge I needed to get it started. And I love it with the pears in the color Whiskey by Weeks Dye Works. And I had to use a lighter DMC because I didn't want that crown to be the same color as the pear. That partridge, I used a little bit of back stitching on and then took it out because I didn't want it to look cartoony, but it needed a little definition. So you can see it really well in person. It's getting a little blown out here, but I like it fine. And then I used some white silk so that it would really stand out. So I'll tell you more about that silk in a minute. But this one is so pretty, and this fabric I did dye myself. I explained last time I used scarlet and cocoa Rit dye, and you do have to soak it a really long time so that it'll get red. Otherwise it ends up being kind of pink. So that is turning out really well. Oh, and I almost forgot my Santas. I have a little bit of a cat alarm on my Santas. I was afraid that these crafts would attract cats, and as you can see, this guy is very interested in them. I just finished these Belsnickle Santas this morning. The pattern is on Etsy, Old Time Belsnickles by Sticks and Stones, Sticks with a Y. And I printed this out last year, and then I was afraid of the cat problem, and so I didn't end up doing it. Plus, I needed a few supplies. These aren't hard, but they do have an involved list of the sheep's wool I had to source. I found that on Etsy. I had to find felting needles. Let me show you. Here's the wool that I got from a shepherd on Etsy, and it's very curly. It doesn't smell the best. I'm going to spritz them with some pine air freshener, which was one of the recommendations on the pattern. But this is, you know, like 100% wool. It's right off the sheep. It even has some like sticks and stuff in it, so I had to pick those off a little bit. But I didn't want to wash it per se. I was afraid the curl might come out because they have great curls. And then this is the felting needle I used, and I just picked this up. I wasn't sure if I needed this, but yes, you do. You have this, I've never done wool felting before. Taking, you know, the raw, oh, there's a name for it, roving, I think, and poking it multiple times on a styrofoam board. This is like a felting pen, and it was $10. I used my coupon, of course, so got it for $6, but it has 3 needles, and they are very sharp. I poked my finger twice. That are almost like square. They have like a flat shape to them. I'm not sure you can really see that, but they are super quick to use. So you have to get a lot of different pieces together, and so it takes a while. I've had a follower on Instagram ask if I was going to please sell them, and I don't know at this time. Like I said, because of the different sourcing, they end up being kind of expensive. If you were going to do, if you had maybe a wholesaler, like if I lived in Oklahoma by my mom's friend that's a shepherd, I could probably do this. But I had to pay shipping and things for them. So I think they would be too expensive by the time I got my cost out of them. But I am going to very soon be giving one of these away to a subscriber on my channel. So if you are watching and you have not subscribed, which about 47% of my viewers, according to YouTube, are not subscribed, but if you've learned something or are inspired, please hit the subscribe button. I am very close to 4,000 subscribers, and if I make that goal, then I will be giving one of these guys away. So the pattern is really detailed. Like I said, there's a lot of steps to it. It's not difficult, but I didn't know how to do it without the pattern. I didn't know how to, get the beard on, and I didn't know how to get the different steps with the chenille. The muslin body is really simple. It's just that shape, but it looks really ugly and weird until you do all this to it. And then it turns out so cute. So I made one for myself, one for my mom, and then one for one of you. So like I said, I'm not going to be giving that away this time, but hopefully, I think I'm like 10 away from the goal. So it should be soon. But I really like the way his face turned out. You have to do some, what do they call it? Sculpting, needle sculpting on his nose. And I've made some dolls in the past. It's something I've done before, so it wasn't hard, but I can see where that might be a little bit of a learning curve. Like, you have to make teeny tiny stitches along the edges and kind of grab that polyfill as you're going so that he has some shape to his face. He looks a little bit like that guy on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. If you've watched that show with your kids or with your grandkids, he looks like the dad. The eyebrows are really funky. But like I said, he was so fun and turned out really cute. I feel like I'm forgetting one thing to say about him, but I can't remember. Oh, I changed them from the bells. They have bells on the pattern, and they also have a lot of instruction about how to make a tree, which the way I wanted to display mine, I'm probably going to put a few other things in there because I'm not going to be keeping all 3 of these Santas, but I wanted to display them in this sled that I got from Hobby Lobby last year. And so I didn't need to have a tree with them, but it comes with instructions on how to make a little tree out of a grapevine wreath and some kind of chenille that I've never heard of and couldn't find, to be honest. So if you want to do that, it's, up to you. And the original picture I had didn't have these bells, but I thought, oh, that tree needs a little bit of color. I had all these bells, and the good thing about it is it's kind of a kitty alarm. So if I hear this go off, I'll know that my cat's being drawn to these, because that natural wool straight from a sheep is like, I guess, catnip or something. They just really want to go for it. So I will have to watch Mr. Gandalf. Is he? Oh, he's back behind me still. There he is. He's staying very close to these little Santas. He's very interested. So one of those hopefully will be handed out soon for y'all. And let me show you the works in progress, the whips that I pulled out for Christmas. I had a few that I just did a little bit on that I'm not going to show you this time. My plans for 24 hours of cross stitch were not, what's the word? They didn't happen. So I don't really have a lot to show you on Shepherd, Sampler, and All Creatures. I did get some done on it, but not a lot. And then I had a couple new starts. So let me pull those out and I'll be right back. My light is changing, so sorry if it's a little bright. I had a few Christmas starts that were on my list. I think I shared them last time, but I did go ahead and get this Barbara Anna piece started. Oh, there's my bright light. It's called Santa, the Dove, and the Key on this tan fabric. It's really pretty. I don't even think they tell what that fabric is. I think it just says a tan overdyed fabric. It looks a little bit like ale or maybe something a little more golden, but I wanted to do it in my front room, which has a lot of kind of gardeny colors. And so I used this, oh, where's the tag? I think it's called Sea Lily by, had everything laid out, and then oh, here it is. Wanted to show you 32 count. Oh gosh, where's the sun coming from? 32 count Sea Lily by Witchelt. And I had a few suggestions of, oh, maybe you could wash that fabric and it won't be so stiff. But honestly, stitching in hand, this doesn't bother me a ton. It almost makes things pretty easy. So let me move this a little bit. I don't have a huge start. I just kind of wanted to see how these colors will work, and I love them. I can't wait to get started on that little house. Part of why my floss tube is a little late, and like I said, I'll explain a little later, we've had a really hard month with our family. Hang on just a second. Okay, I'm not going to be able to talk about what's been going on. My pale German coloring is making me turn purple with emotion, so I'm going to have to try to edit that out or hold on to the very end here. But my plans pretty much changed. I was intending to get a lot more on this done, and I also started my little Santa cup with my friend Merritt from, I always forget your name, Merritt, I'm sorry, Merritt Crawford on Instagram, upside down. I love this little mug from Pinker and Pumpkin, this really cute Santa cup, and I think I can get back to it and get some good work on it. But as I was stitching these pieces, we just had a really hard thing happen in our family, and I just kind of stopped. I started a new stitch to try to find some kind of, I guess, consolation or just comfort, and I kind of am associating these two pieces with what happened, and so I will get back to them, but everything kind of moved toward this piece here, and this stitch is so pretty. The Christmas at Hollyberry Farm, I've gotten quite a bit done on it for me. I don't know, some people might not think that, but this house took a lot of sketching out and counting. It's really just to the fill-in stage now. I have a couple of windows and a stoop, and then all of the white stitching. But it is something I was being very careful about counting. I don't want to show the pattern too much, but I broke all this up and wrote the numbers in with red so that I wouldn't get off track, because I've done that twice now. My first house with Priscilla Blaine, the Sunflower Manor, has the wrong number of window panes in it. And then my log cabin from Stacy Nash, the last piece, is one chinking low, and so nothing lined up. It's one of those things where you have to get it perfect, or everything, you know, is messed up. So I was working really hard, and I did go ahead and change the colors on this to just what I had on hand. I used some Victorian motto. No, that's the Gentle Arts. The Harvesting Grain is a really pretty mottled piece that I subbed for Heirloom Gold. I did use the espresso bean for the window fill, because it does have some good variegation in it. And then I'm using my Aunt Ruth Red for the berries, and I just love the way this turned out. I explained how I dyed this, and I've had people question still, and it wasn't 22, it's 21, Flosstube 21. I kind of give you an overview of how I dyed this floss with the 2-liter soda bottles. I used, you know, the dark, the medium, and the light, and just kind of striped it with a paintbrush. And I'm not that good at tutorials, so I apologize, but you can give this a try with Rit dye. It's not something that anyone couldn't do. But this I have so much of. I'm using it in lots of different projects, and I'm loving that red. So that I'm using. I'm also using 936, the called for Piney Woods. My friends and I have talked a lot on our Zoom calls about how much that color, the original charted color, has gone brown. And it's not a super green color in the first place, I don't think, but I did want it to be green. I overdyed my fabric, and live and learn. This color was called Limestone, and maybe you can pick up, sometimes in my aught light, I think I can see some green still showing through, but I tried to do walnut stain around the house before I stitched it, because I'm not going to do the staining like Stacy Nash did with the you know, spritzing it on after. This piece is just too big for that. For me, I would do it on a smaller piece. I have done it, but I didn't want to do it. And so when I put that modeling on, you can see there's some big pieces of modeling here. I took away all the green that I had, that greeny gray. So I was kind of like, wah, wah. But it's still pretty, and it's still a nice neutral color. The top of the design is right here, so it's not much bigger, but it'll be fine. I was saying though, I'm using the 936, and I don't have it in front of me. I have another card that has 934 and 935, and I'm doing that trick with my DIY overdye floss, or my hack that uses what I've been doing. And you can see it here. I've used one strand of the darkest, I think it's 936, or it might be 934. I forget the direction. It's not always sequential. I know they're in order: 934, 935, 936, the avocado greens. And I'm using the darkest strand, either 36 or 34, and doing one leg of the holly, and however it ends up, I stop when the strand is done, and then I come in with 935, which is the middle green, and go around it. So it's really turning out nice. It's subtle, but it definitely looks like an overdyed in person. So using that same trick, rather than fighting with piney woods and having a brown holly border, I'm just using avocado greens from DMC. And the white silk, I might have to insert a photo of this. I did a test over here with a color I considered using that wasn't bright enough. And what I found with this dinky dye natural silk, some people might think, well, that's silly. Why would you buy white silk? It's not even dyed, you know, it's just plain. That's dinky dye natural. I thought this was actually going to be more of a cream color, because I thought natural, to me, that means more like ecru. But I think this is basically just bleached. But the best part about this was 2 strands of my Victorian motto, or my DMC, were equal to 1 strand. In fact, look how fluffy that is. 1 strand of the silk. So I think Carol from Saltbox Stitcher, who has a textile degree, she knows a lot about it, was saying that it is thinner dye, or somehow the process that they make the white in makes the white thinner. I think that's why people don't like their white stitches a lot, because they just don't have the bulk that they need to cover the fabric. This dinky dye natural is doing a beautiful job. You can especially see it in let's see, this is just 1 strand on 32. It just covers those dots completely. And so even though it costs just a little bit more, I think it's worth it, in that I love to stitch with silk. It's very smooth and aesthetically just a nice experience. And then you just get really fluffy white stitches. So something to think about. It's like $4.50. If you use half as much, what some people would take to get 2 strands, you're really probably, you know, ending up with the same cost, and it's a much more satisfactory experience. 2 strands get really bulky to me on 36. That's what I'm doing my hawk run on. And so on a 32 count linen, or on a 36 count, 1 strand is turning out to be just right. I am using 2 strands of the silk on this 32, because I wasn't sure. This was the first time I pulled it out, but I mean, just look how bright and fluffy those stitches are. So just a tip, that dinky dye is really nice, and I will be getting back to this. I've been focusing on it, just trying to pray through some things, and I am changing the alphabet at the top. I've told you before, I don't like stitching alphabets, especially since, to me, if it's not a reproduction sampler. I have a few alphabets I'm going to be stitching. I like to leave messages with my stitches. I'm spending so much time on it. I want it to speak or communicate to my ancestors, hopefully, or whoever gets this stitch, maybe a Goodwill, I don't know. But it was timely for me to follow the Rend Collective band, my favorite worship band. They're from Ireland. I saw them in concert in Fort Worth about 4 years ago on stage. They are just phenomenal. They have about 20 instruments that they rotate like in a round robin. Just, okay, now you go play the drums. Now you go play this instrument I've never seen before, this whirly-giggy thing. Just pure joy though when you see them in concert. And their Christmas song too, I'll link the YouTube video below, came out right at the right time. And the message was, today is the Savior's Day for Christmas. And I'm charting that. I'll see how it fits. I had to pull out one letter already because it was too far away. I had to make one space there. So most of the letters are one space apart. Some will be two. And if I end up here where the alphabet should have stopped and I'm still going, I might have to regroup. But I shouldn't have that problem. It'll probably be more that I'm short. And if I'm short, I'll probably do the things that you see in a lot of antique samplers. I know Teresa does this a lot. When the script just runs out, you just do a zigzag after. So today is the Savior's Day, will be the second alphabet, and the top alphabet will say from the song, hope has arrived, hope is alive, love has arrived. So those lyrics will be meaningful to me in a very difficult time, that hope is alive. So love that piece. Highly recommend it. One other whip really quickly, and then I have some freebie patterns that I want to share, and I'll be finished. Is this Long Dog Sampler Leap Day Sal that I worked on starting February 29th. I've had a couple months where I forgot about it, and then I have been setting my alarm on my phone so I remember. I did more fill-in on the black. Some people don't like fill-in stitching, but in particular this black highlights all the colors so well, is just a joy to stitch. So I started going over this way. This is page 1. It's not a ton of stitching. It's very intricate and very, I've explained before, back in the spring I had to rip out a huge section of it because I got off by one stitch. So once you're on track, once everything is good, you can tell, you know that you're on track, which is why I appreciate a long dog. This is the only one I've ever done, the first one, but I don't think it'll be the last. So I am changing all those colors, and you can go back in my Flosstubes to February if you want to see some of them. I'm not finished. The called for colors are really bright, like teals and pinks, which don't match this picture. I see it more like this. So that was what appealed to me, is more of these colors, the harvest kind of colors. I know there's some Weeks crimson and some Victorian motto colors that are like pumpkin-y oranges and some darker teals and blues. So that's kind of my plan with this, and all I have to finish is a little bit more for 2020. So I think I'll be on track to do that, and then I'll start in with the house and page. It's 4 pages, so 4 pages, 4 years. That's the Leap Day Sal. I'm kind of cheating because most people are taking on, like Jenny's doing this humongous death by cross stitch, and I'm doing a little tiny one, but that's okay. It's really been fun. I had 2 other whips I wanted to show you that are from last year. Part of my plans, I'm not going to really do a whole plan video because I inevitably seem to switch it up, but I do enjoy making my boxes with all the different patterns for Christmas. And when you don't finish that season, putting it back in the box and then pulling it out in 11 months or however long is sort of gratifying, because now it's like, oh, you've got a really good start on that Nativity Berry. You just need a face and another angel and some swirls, and it'll be done. So I'm really happy to get back to this Nativity Berry. I think you're working on this Celeste, aren't you? I'm using teal fabric instead of blue, but I think this is going to be really pretty. I had made several berries this year, and that was kind of the last of them. I didn't do the scary one, but they're really fun stitches. And the other one, this is the very last of my, I'm going to have to take it out of the bag, my Little House Needleworks ABCs. I've done all 4 now, except for this one. And I got so much of it done, and I don't know if I was just over winter stitching or if I was just kind of being in a bad mood, but I put this up and I should have just finished it. But now I've got, oh, it's really blowing out that white. You can kind of see from a distance that it's easier to read. Now I can pull it out and I've done all of the letters but the A and the B, and I finished all of the teal words. I love this floss. I want to just show you, from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. This variegated 112 is really pretty for, I think, for winter stitching, because it's just a really pretty blue. So this goes on the long stand that I have in my entryway, and I really feel like I can get that done. So that's a plan coming up with my Nativity Berry, and I will continue to do those seasonal boxes. I might show you my Christmas one next time, so that every year you just pull it out and keep going, just keep going, and then you end up with a lot more than you realized, because it's just plugging away at it. So those were all the Christmas stitches that I intended to do. I might do a few more because there's a really nice Cyber Monday sale on a few patterns, Pineberry Lane, Etsy stores that I follow, a lot of sales going on, so I'll probably pick up a few and probably not start them this year, but some of those Etsy sellers, I'm afraid they may not always be there, so I am going to grab them. I have some, speaking of patterns that I grabbed, I have some freebies that I want to share. I like to do that because I don't want to encourage you to just buy. But if these patterns are free, then you know, it's fun to collect them and stitch them and give credit to the designers that so generously donated, like this pandemic sampler by, I think it's Sarcy Girl. She's from Canada, and I watched her stitch this on Instagram. I had no idea she was going to give it away for free. You've probably seen it like tons of times, but if you have not, I just did not want you to miss it, because I will be starting this next year. After All Creatures, whenever that happens, I'm going to plan on starting this. It is just so gorgeous. It reminds me of like a heartstring samplery and a Barbara Anna. She stitches a lot of Barbara Anna, so I definitely see that influence. Gorgeous colors though, kind of terracottas and the darker reds, just totally my cup of tea. So I was excited to get that, and you can find that on Instagram. Oh, I'm losing my power. I better go quicker. And then this one, there's a few hoops to jump through, but this magazine called The Gift of Stitching has, I won't show all the pattern there. They have given a free copy of their Christmas issues out. And this magazine, I'm newer to stitching, so I'm not as familiar. Some of you all probably had seen it. It's an online only, but they did lots of, this is a Prairie Schooler contribution. A lot of these different, you know, Plum Street and Drawn Thread, just all the top designers contributed to this magazine, and she started selling them again. They'd gone away, and now they're back, and you can get all of the Christmas issues, which I think there are 11 or 12 issues for $11. Great deal. I haven't done that, but I did get this free copy that she previewed with, and I printed off these because I thought they were just really cute. And this one I'm going to do for winter, not as necessarily a Christmas ornament, but I love that little snowman and the colors. They're super cute. So check out that publication if you're interested. That's just, like, she's just sharing that one, and then you can always get more. I intended to show these a couple of weeks ago, but before I put them up, this is more of a fall kind of thing, but Melissa from Pinker and Punkening, hi Melissa if you're watching, she was very kind to say that she watched my channel, did a turkey piece that is super cute with her little salt box series. So I went ahead and printed that, and I definitely want to do that next year. And then this is a primitive hair freebie, probably from a while ago. In fact, I think I saw, Melissa, did you stitch this? And hunted it down. Give Thanks, the pilgrims there. I thought were really cute. So those are some Thanksgiving stitches I might do next year. I hosted for the first time this year, and didn't end up having company, but I cooked the whole meal myself, and I thought I want some Thanksgiving stuff out. So I'm going to do a few pieces and maybe get some pilgrims and things. My mom does such a beautiful tablescape, and mine was kind of sad, but I wanted to do a few pieces. So that is all I had to share. I have a couple other things I might get out next time, but I appreciate your patience and waiting between videos. I had a delay, as I said, with just some family sad news. I won't get into it because it's not really my story, but you know when your child hurts that it's the worst thing for a mom, and I shared we were having a wedding coming up and we were so happy, and we are not going to have a wedding. And so we're still kind of reeling from the fallout of that, but I appreciate your prayers. Maybe I'll be able to say this last bit. I feel like a lot of y'all have become friends and have been such an encouragement to me over the last almost 2 years. And so I've shared part of my life with y'all, not a ton, but I've shared some of my joys, and this is just one of the sorrows. So appreciate your prayers, and even though life is hard, I still know that God is good and He loves me, and I can trust Him no matter what. Thanks for watching.